What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the basement. It's me, Ramon, and the Hulk. All right, this week we got a bunch of cool comics. We got some questions from fans. We got some movies to talk about. We're going to talk about Deathmatch number 12. That concluded. Also concluding this week was Superior Foes of Spider-Man number 6 and Captain America Living Legend number 4. We got Justice League 25. We got Clown Fatale number 2. Justice League 3000 number 1. Doc Savage number 1. Grim Warlock number 1. Dead Body Road number 1. That sounds pretty cool. Krampus number 1. We got Inhumanity Awakening number 1. And we got Marvel Knights Hulk number 1. A whole bunch of number 1s.
Yeah.
I am grotesquely behind on this. I only read a few issues, so this is going to be a Ramon's Basement show. Ramon's going to tell me all about the kind of shit that's going on in the world of comics. But before we get to all of the new questions from the fans and everything, we did have one old question from our good buddy O'Clido. What was our favorite single issue ever? And after 3 solid weeks of toiling over, was
you
it
have
maybe,
an answer.
I do have an answer. I finally have an answer. It's got to be Spider-Man 75, The Return of the One True Spider-Man. It is the single issue that probably means the most to me, because when they did the Clone Saga, I was out of collecting for so long. I just did not give a fuck. I didn't buy anything. I stopped reading Spider-Man. I stopped going to the comic shop. I stopped fucking anything and everything to do with comics. I was that pissed off.
Bitter.
And so was a lot of other people, because it bankrupted Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that fucking story is the reason that Fox owns Spider-Man. Sony owns Spider-Man. Fox owns fucking X-Men and Fantastic Four. And Marvel was left with all of the morts that nobody gave a shit about, like Thor, Iron Man, and unfortunately Captain America. That they've built that into the wonder that it is now. But back in the 90s, who the fuck gave a fuck about the Avengers? Nobody. I didn't. Spider-Man 75 brought me back. It was the return of Peter Parker, the end of the fucking Clone Saga. It is the one issue, I think, despite all of the single issues that were great and fantastic, and it took me a long time. There was a Tales from the Crypt. The original number, I think, was 27, with this guy who had cancer, and it was he had a witch hex him, so that way he wouldn't succumb to the cancer. And he turned into this oozing blob of skin and flesh that would eat people. And this was like one of the first Tales from the Crypt books that my grandmother got me. So this was very, sentimental and everything. And even still, Spider-Man bypassed that one. And that was like a close second for me, which is why I bring it up. Spider-Man 75 is my answer to what was my favorite single issue. The first comic I ever bought was G.I. Joe 105. Past that one.
Mine would probably be X-Men 1 then.
The Jim Lee shit?
Yeah. It was great. It was awesome. It was beautiful drawn, great story, great jumping on point. And I was like, shit, I'm getting number 2. And that's it. And then I had to get like the big gatefold covered one because it was sexy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even find those books were all sold out all the time.
yeah, everywhere.
I only bought the gatefold one because I jumped on that late. So
after you were all bitter and jaded after the Clone Saga, if somebody would have told you, hey, look, Doc Ock is going to be Spider-Man and you're going to like it, what would you have said to yourself?
I said, okay, cool. That'll make a nice 6-issue story. Enough said?
Well, don't get upset at me. You don't want to like 6 issues.
You were fucking baiting me with that question.
I'm not baiting you.
You were baiting me. All right. Now, before we get to Book of the Week, I think I'll pour myself a holiday beverage. How do you like that?
Just the holidays.
You have trouble talking to your kids about drinking or drugs, keeping them out of the liquor cabinet or the medicine cabinet? Well, now, with the patent-pending bottle blocker, you don't have to worry. All you have to do is take this little balloon, pop it right over the top, take one of the cable ties, and twist it around, and now your beverage or your pill bottle is safe from prying eyes. You can't get that off without breaking it. And if it's broken, you know somebody was at your stash. Go to bottleblocker.com And now get $5 off your purchase with the code Pete's Basement, capital P, capital B. Just pop it in at checkout. You get 24 the cable ties and the little balloons, all in one box. Remember, guys, $5 off with the special promotion code Pete's Basement. All right, so book of the week. You have not been reading Deathmatch.
No, but
I am sorely disappointed in you.
It's over, so
Now you're gonna get to it.
I'll probably borrow your books and just read them.
Right around the same time I'll get to Lock and Key. Deathmatch from Boom Studios was absolutely awesome. It was a fucked up story, not for nothing. I'm gonna try not to spoil too much of the story because it's very suspenseful as you went along. But basically, this dude Manchurian, as we learned last month, was behind the whole thing. He's a hero, but he was behind everyone being, kidnapped and brainwashed into this deathmatch arena. And every time, they don't know why they're there. They're in this prison of sorts that's being guarded by these light beings with spears and shit that would just electrify you. And only when they're in the arena itself do they remember why they're there. And then they realize this is a good reason. We have to fight to the death. There has to be a winner. And the culmination of it was there was a rift in their universe. It was called the Rift. It was an event that... One of the best things about this book this series was they referenced characters and events that you have no clue about. Everything was invented and made up right off the cuff. But you got to know these people and the event as if you read it 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
It was a really well done, well crafted story. And during this event, the Rift, there was a hole ripped open in our universe, kind of like Marvel did with the whole Cancerverse thing. But this other universe was kind of like a, I guess if you will, an Earth 3 for DC, because it was what came through. They had this Superman character called Meridian. What came through the Rift was the Anti-Meridian. And his special power, this is where it gets a little tough to understand, so you gotta stay with this. The Anti-Meridian lived our lives backwards. Our past was its future, so it's like, going in opposite directions kind of thing.
I got you.
So the Anti-Meridian in our universe was basically clairvoyant. It already knew what was going to happen because it had lived it back in its own universe, so now it's going backwards. And this deathmatch arena, as we learned last issue in 11, was an elaborate scheme to figure out a way to destroy this creature that was going to basically destroy our own universe at the sacrifice of all of Earth's heroes and villains. They had to create a time paradox where the Anti-Meridian was trapped in our own past. So it had to they couldn't send it back through the Rift. They had to time travel it back to our past, into its own future that it couldn't see. It was very weird. It was very hard to understand. And I could see by the look in your eyes that you're not really coming with me on this. But you have to read this story. It was so engaging and so engrossing. I haven't had this much fun reading an indie book in a long time.
Wow.
But Boom, they're constantly good for me, man. A lot of shit that I read from them, I pick up on a whim because I was like, a new #1 from Boom. Let me give this a try.
Yeah, I do that.
And it's so rare that I'm disappointed. And they have their own little, universes that they don't really intersect with other things that they've done. They did Val and the Outcast, which I liked. They did those Stanley Presents with Soldier Zero, The Traveler, and Starborn. Those three connected. That was like a big 36-issue pile-on. That was awesome. I definitely get the trades if you haven't read them. But I can't say enough about Deathmatch. And now what happens at the end is you're left with the two main characters, which was this guy, Benny Boatwright, who's his name is Dragonfly. And like a dragonfly, he can only sustain 1 minute of flight before he has to land. And he can only activate one superpower at a time, kind of like Alpha from SpiderMan.
Yeah,
that asshole.
That's all you.
Well, he was a fucking stupid kid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Dragonfly could only activate one superpower at a time, so he had to juggle around, like being very limited fighting his enemies and everything.
Yeah.
And Sable, who was kind of like Elektra, basically, she's just a human, but she will fuck your simple ass up. So now these two have to kill each other. One person has to win in order for the deathmatch arena to finish, the entire paradox to close, because one person has to die and one person has to go back in time or whatever in this little escape pod thing to the rift to close it. So that it's all like just, it's kind of like just takes one big loop-de-loop and circles around on itself as far as it's a very like time travel.
I hate time travel.
It's some straight up X-Men headache shit, but it's awesome. I had a lot of fun with this,
Yes,
and it looks like they could possibly be a sequel.
No, they will. So if it's sold, they will.
I really hope they do. I really want them to. One of the coolest things about this book was in the back they had like all of their first appearances. If you've been watching the Pete's Basement show for the past year, I've been talking about this book on just about every month, give or take. And in the back, for the first couple of issues, they would say where each character first appeared, and they would just make shit up. They just made up the comic book names and like these golden age, kind of names, like Super Funnies #1 or number 37 or whatever, and they would tell you group affiliations like the old Marvel cards would, and how many battles they fought, what their powers were, who their friends and enemies were. It was just a lot of cool made up shit. And it was just all off the cuff, and it was friggin' awesome. I definitely go get the trades, get the shit on eBay, do something with it, get yourself Deathmatch. I picked up, they have a variant cover to issue 1 that was, I got for like $5 on eBay, but it's an homage to the Secret Wars cover, where everybody's like kind of running at the screen and everything, but it's all of these characters, and it's even done in the same like colorful font that Marvel wrote Secret Wars in.
God, yes.
So good, so damn good. So guys, please, did any of you out there read Deathmatch? I know my boy Chris Ventura from Dark Avenger Inc. Hopefully you guys are checking out their web show over at darkavengerinc.com, and they have a YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that. I even had the privilege of guest appearing on the show a couple of times, and I'd like to get back there if life calms itself down in 2014. But I know my buddy Chris was reading Deathmatch. Are any of you out there reading Deathmatch? Write in, hit us up, questions@petesbasement.com. Hit us up, facebook.com/Pete's Basement. Follow us on Twitter for up-to-the-minute reviews. Make sure you subscribe to the regular YouTube channel, the Pete's Basement Extras channel, and subscribe to the Hall so you know what me and the fellas are reading each week. And you can let us know if we missed anything.
Not this week.
No, this was a big fucking week, man. You forget it. How many books did you get this week?
62, 3. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I'm surprised I remember X-Men #1.
Son of a bitch, man. And I complain about being backed up.
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
Keep it G-rated.
Did you hear about that movie that they're making about constipation? It hasn't come out yet, but I heard it's good. Get it? Hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, I do.
And with that, guys, we're going to close out the video portion of the show. Make sure you tune into the audio show for the rest of the books and some questions from the viewers. And till next week, we'll see you. Make sure you clue in to the giveaway that we're doing for Punisher Christmas, the Punisher Max Christmas special. Go on our Facebook and find the little Rafflecopter section and type in your answer to what is the Punisher's full real name. Everybody calls him Frank Castle, but what is his full name? And for a correct answer, you get 10 extra points.
Yes.
And if you share that, link on your Twitter, you get an entry for that too.
Cool.
And we will do a random drawing next week to see who wins the Pete's Basement Christmas present.
Dum, dum, dum. Dum.
I know you're all very excited about it, and you should be, because this was one of the most awesome Punisher books ever.
Yes, it is.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, this is the outtake, isn't it?
Could be. This could be the outtake.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Not a 1960 cartoon?
Yeah.
Fuck
All
it,
those
man.
who chose to oppose his shield must yield. Never watched that?
I think I've seen it, but I don't remember the fucking opening intro.
I don't know how it's not drilled into your head because it's just it won't escape mine.
No, mine's just knowing stupid tunes like Christmas things and shit. Or Mary Poppins and
Have
shit.
a holly jolly Christmas.
Exactly.
It's the best time of the year.